26th, I think.
26th of May.
No. Here we go. When I get 6, somebody leave. Okay, we're gonna get started. Good evening. And if everyone could please find their chair, seat, desk, we will get started. Thank you very much, and good evening to everyone, and especially good evening to the viewing audience at home. And this is going to be a very special evening where the superintendent and the school committee and the faculty at Lowell High School, we're going to celebrate the great recognition that Lowell High School received out of 141 high schools. The experts said Lowell High School ranks 25th in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the high school band is here with us tonight, and the ROTC is with us, and we're going to have the national anthem sung. And how about everyone putting your hands together for Lowell High School right now? And now it is with great pleasure and honor that I ask the ROTC please come into the chambers and present the colors, please. Would Vale Marie Kendall please come to the podium and salute and honor America?
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Go! Face! Forward! March!
Round of applause to our ROTC. And a round of applause for Vale Marie Kendall for a wonderful rendition of the national anthem. And now it is with great pleasure that I bring to the podium a man who is responsible, oversees the high school for many years, and probably should receive a round of applause from this school committee, this mayor, this superintendent, and the students who attend Lowell High School. Please put your hands together for Headmaster William Samaras.
Thank you, Your Honor. Actually, the only thing that I have is that I'm just the luckiest person in Lowell because I'm headmaster of Lowell High School, the finest group of students and teachers anywhere, and staff members. And before we talk about our celebration, there's something very important that I would like to acknowledge to the Lowell School Committee. And it's actually a report, and I'd like, if you'd give me your indulgence, I'd like to read the report than rather just make the statement. It's regarding sudden cardiac arrest. As you are aware, this was sent to me, one of our cafeteria workers suffered a cardiac arrest at work here last Monday. The action taken by the building employees and the minutes following are to be commended. Nurses, security, school bursar, co-workers in the food service, and social workers all responded quickly, professionally, cooperatively, and respectfully to assist and support the stricken employee and those who work daily with her. School nurses Colleen Eslin, Linda Cowan, Caroline Kennedy, and Mary McLaughlin, they're here tonight, who had just returned to the building after their opening meeting, responded immediately to the call for help. They performed CPR while waiting for the paramedics to arrive. The nurses used defibrillators with success in order to revive her. Their expertise truly contributed to her survival. While the school nurses were resuscitating the workers, our bursar was in constant communication with the 911 dispatcher. Emergency personnel from the city responded with Trinity Ambulance arriving in a timely manner. While nurses treated the victim, our security department kept the area around the kitchen clear of traffic so that the paramedics could gain quick access to the building. They did this while protecting the employees' privacy and without alarming staff members who were coming into the area for lunch. Social workers who were there on the way to the office for a brief meeting recognized that their professional expertise was best utilized in supporting the cafeteria workers. They comforted the women who were part of the cafeteria family. Co-workers assisted each other as well. I believe that the fast action of our nurses saved the employee's life and that they should be commended for their highly professional and caring response. Let me put it this way. I never felt so powerless as I entered the kitchen area to see someone down in cardiac arrest and to see our nurses, the way they were working. I was powerless. They were not. They saved her life. And I don't know what we can do for them because they're part of the family, but I'd like to have, Linda's not here, but I'd like to have Colleen, Caroline, and Mary come forward. They didn't want to be here tonight. And I can only say one thing. When I said we'd like to have you here because the school committee should acknowledge what you did, they said all we were doing was our job. And that's how they feel about it. Anybody want to say something? No. Okay.
I want to thank you all for everything, but we were only doing our job. And there are so many other people that do that more than we do on a daily basis, all the first responders throughout the city of Lowell. So we accept this acknowledgement for them as well as for us. And then all the lay people who take the time and the energy to do CPR training, which I think everyone in this room should do. The use of our defibrillator as well, which Mr. Samaras really fought hard for over the years. We have 4, right, in the building. And yes, the CPR did help, definitely, but she did get a shock from the defibrillator, and as soon as, the paramedics were there, I think the defibrillator, without that, she wouldn't be here today. So we need to support the financial efforts of that throughout the city because it's extremely important. And this woman was only 47 years old. So any one of us, could be in that position. But CPR for everybody is really the thing.
The mayor would like
Thank
to
you
just
very
say a few words. All heroes tell people, I was just doing my job. And you 4 nurses are definitely a hero because you saved that woman's life. And the mayor's office will bring forward a citation for each one of you, congratulating you and applauding for your efforts.
Thank you. But all of you could possibly be in that situation, and you want to do the same thing. And you could.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I mean, they never lose a moment to not do something to support their effort. Also, I believe the school committee should acknowledge Trinity Ambulance and the work of John Chumley, because during the time we obtained the defibrillators and what have you, part of the training program came from that area there. And John Chumley has been not only a friend of Lowell High School, supporting on many scholarship programs and other programs, but his people were right there in a timely fashion. So when you put all of that together, what they did is the right thing, but the right thing saved someone, and it could mean something for everybody. Also, I'd like to acknowledge their supervisor, Mary Zane and Laurie Goe. They're here also, who support their people. But again, thank you. Okay, the next aspect of why we're here tonight also is to talk about Lowell High School ranking number 25 out of 141 high schools. Matter of fact, I forgot my magazine over here. Allow me.
Mr. Samaras, I want to recognize the fact someone made a beautiful cake with
Yeah, we have
25
cake.
Oh,
on it.
that's coming. That's all part of the program.
It's on camera so people can
Okay.
see that.
But why I'm here tonight and why we brought some of the students here, it's really to thank the Lowell School Committee, all right? Because Lowell High School in 1999 was acknowledged as one of the best urban high schools in the country. And sometimes some people say, how did you do that? Why was Lowell High School in there? I believe it was because of our programs, and I believe it's because of my staff, my teachers, my students, my nurses, my cafeteria people. They work so hard to make this high school a great place. Boston Magazine, a prestigious magazine, this year what they did is they looked at all of the high schools, but they put everybody on a level playing field. Basically, they just did not acknowledge test scores, SAT scores. Because the thing is, our students really have the skills, but when you're a second language student and English is not your first language, you're going to have difficulty in SAT tests. But what this magazine did, they hired an outside consultant to look at every aspect of the high school. Test scores, yes. Information from the Department of Education, information that the high school provided. They looked at the sports teams that we have, the activities that we have, the fine arts programs. They looked at all of the programs that we offer. So what they did is they have the 50 best public high schools. They scratch out best, smartest. So it talks about what we've been able to do efficiently and effectively. And we couldn't do that if we didn't have the support of this committee and the superintendent's office. So I just, on behalf of my students and staff, I want to acknowledge that. And I'd like to just finish by saying thank you again, introduce Tom Thornton, and also acknowledge, first of all, because she won't be speaking tonight, Dr. Wendy Jack. Dr. Jack has led our academic team. So when you look at this report, it's academics we're up there in, it's sports, it's activities, its course offerings, it's all of that to make it a totally, completely comprehensive high school. So with that, I'd like to introduce Tom Thornton, who is our new head of student services. Student activities.
Thank you, Mr. Samaras. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your support towards our clubs and activities at Lowell High School. We greatly appreciate your continued support. Right now, we offer 33 clubs and activities for our students to be a part of, and we hope to grow from that. As you all know, it's a proven fact that students who participate in school activities succeed more in the classroom and also later on in life than those students that don't. They have better interaction skills, learn how to work with a team, and manage their time better. That success can be credited greatly to the club advisors who work closely with our students every day. At this time, I am proud to introduce to you a student who has grown from these activities and who knows what it means to be a leader, our Student Council President, Patrick Choi.
Hi. When a Lowell Sun reporter asked me what I liked about LHS, I was quoted in saying, "What don't I like about LHS?" I didn't just say that for the paper, I really meant it, and I still do. The reason we're here today is to celebrate the fact that Boston Magazine named Lowell High School the 25th best high school in Massachusetts. That's a great honor, but I'm sure we all look forward to moving up on the list in the upcoming years until LHS rightfully claims its position as the #1 high school in Massachusetts. And LHS does have the potential, but why? Why should LHS, of all the high schools in Massachusetts, be #1? Maybe it's the clubs at LHS. We have over 34 clubs at LHS for students to choose from. We have popular clubs, like International Language Club and Science Club. We have academic clubs, like Math Club and Da Vinci Society. We have cultural clubs, like Bhangra Club and Black Unity Club. We have clubs for Portuguese speakers, and we have clubs for people who want to learn ballroom dance. Or maybe it's the sports at Lowell High School. With many sports to choose from, students have the opportunity to pick which sport best fits them. And it's not only the variety, but it's also the cost, which happens to be nothing at LHS. LHS gives students from all different economic backgrounds an opportunity to prosper, to be part of a team, and to join a sport. But when there aren't sports and clubs to participate in, there's also events. Most notably last year, there was LHS Idol, the hugely popular talent show competition among students, which was a thrill to watch, even more a thrill to participate in, because I hosted. What else? What about Junior Harvest, Mr. LHS, Homecoming, Pep Rally, Spirit Week, the list goes on. But we must not forget the most important factor in a good education, the reason why we're all here today, the thing that makes LHS tick, and that is teachers. Where would LHS be without them? They are the reason why we push ourselves, why we yearn to learn more, why we pursue a career or college, why we push ourselves, why we yearn to learn, I said that again. Why we want to be educated, and why we think the way we think. The teacher's influence on a great school is undeniable, and they are the reason why I believe LHS is number 25 on the list. I want to say personally, it was funny, when Mr. Thornton asked me to make this speech, I was really excited. It's been an honor to represent LHS at events with Student Council. It's become one of my hobbies, like right up there with swimming and reading and all that. But if you asked me 3 years ago if I would be excited addressing a class and the school committee, I probably wouldn't be as excited. Before I came to high school, I had 3 siblings who are older than me, and they sure made me nervous, telling me stories about, how hard it is, what I look forward to, and I was kind of brought up to look at high school as a stepping stone on my way to college. But when I see Lowell High School now, I don't think of a stepping stone. I think of something where I can grow and just opportunity. I personally had the opportunity to address you today, to represent the school with Stuco, to take university classes at UML, to be a tutor at our school library, to meet students from different countries, to learn from teachers I admire, and to learn the tango at Ballroom Dance Club. Although students behind me didn't have the same experiences that I did, they still had the same opportunity, which what I think is most important at LHS. And I'm sure we're all familiar with the phrase, there's a lot to like about Lowell. Well, I hope after tonight, that we can all agree that there's a lot to like about Lowell, but there's a heck of a lot more to like about Lowell High School. At this time, I'd like to welcome Mr. Profrio.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the committee. Good evening, Dr. Scott and members of the Central Administration. The students that accompanied us this evening from the athletic program are representatives, captains of cheerleading, crew, cross country, field hockey, football, golf, soccer, swimming, and volleyball. A wide variety. I promise I'll keep this brief because you could say so many great things about all the kids here from all the different groups, but I think you should know just a bit about their day. They were all in school this morning before 8 o'clock, 7 classes. All of the kids here, the band students, have all been to practice this afternoon, and they're out here this evening representing Lowell High School. So to be a student athlete or be involved in the band or in student activity, student government, it's not easy. We expect an awful lot of the students, and they deliver more than they're ever asked to because they're just terrific kids. I'd like to thank the committee. Absolutely. I'd like to thank the committee for your support of our athletic programs, beginning with our first annual Red Raider Rally on Sunday, where we had a great chance to get together and have some fun and build our community. I'd like to thank you for your continued support. We're one of very few communities that does not have a user's fee for athletics, and that is so critical for us to have opportunities to present to the students. And it's thanks to your support that we're able to enhance the philosophy of the school committee, Dr. Scott, and the headmaster, which is to provide quality opportunities and a large variety of those opportunities for all of our students. I think I said it the first night I was introduced to you for this job that I really honestly believe this that Lowell High School is one of the truly great high schools in America, and I think other people are finally starting to notice that and recognize it. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Betty Santagati.
I, too, am a proud member of the LHS learning community. I am particularly proud as Fine Arts Chair of the faculty and students in the Fine Arts Department. Their hard work, their dedication, their creativity, and their passion for the arts have contributed significantly to this achievement. You don't get to be best without support. This community has always supported the arts. Central administrations, high school administrations, and particularly school committees, even during tough budget times, have consistently advocated and preserved art and music K-12 in the system. This is what makes the difference. This is what separates us from the others. One thing you need to understand is that we try very hard every day, adults and students alike, to work as a unified team. We respect one another, we work hard side by side, and we look out for each other's best interests. Whether you're a student athlete, a member of student government, or ROTC, a band member, or a member of the culinary arts program, we honor and we respect each other's interests and each other's talents, and we work together. That's what makes us one of the best. At this time, I want to acknowledge 2 faculty members from the Hospitality Academy. They are responsible for this lovely cake that you have in front of you. That was made this morning by the students and staff, and they're right here hiding. Come forward, guys.
They're right here, right here.
There's more of their students there. Diane Allen and Mary Allen, faculty in the Hospitality Academy, and their students. Thank you very much. Okay, to close this spotlight, I am honored to present, not only all 95 of them are here, we figured we'd blow you right through the windows if we all came, but I'm proud to present the Lowell High School Marching Band, who will play loudly and proudly the Lowell High School song. That cake says 25 and aiming for number 1, and we really mean it.
Before we move on with the meeting, the high school band, please stay there for a second. And will the ROTC please come out? They're in there hiding. The ROTC, the color guard. Well, let's give them all a round of applause. Come on, come right out here. Round of applause. Come on. All the student athletes over here as well. I believe they're going to cut that in the hallway where there's more ample room. So, or they're going to serve it in the hallway. This was such a wonderful reception and introduction that I neglected to have a roll call. So at this point in time, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Miss Doherty.
Here.
Miss Faticante. Here. Mr. Leahy.
Cake, please. Yes.
Mr. Larry.
Here.
Miss Martin. Mayor Caulfield.
Here.
Mr. Conway.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you, Terry. Lovely.
At this point in time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of April 15th, June 4th, and June 16th. Make a
to
motion
accept,
by
Your
Ms.
Honor.
Faticante to accept those minutes and place them on file, seconded by Ms. Martin. Roll call.
Okay, Miss Martin, okay. Miss Doherty.
Yes.
Miss Faticante.
Yes?
Mr. Leahy.
Yes.
Mr. Larry.
Yes.
Miss Martin. Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Now, before we accept the minutes of the meeting of August 20th, I just have to ask this question. Did anyone find the minutes of May 26th, the executive session minutes? Madam Superintendent, anybody find those in the,
There's no change.
still looking? Okay.
No, there's no change from the last minute, Your Honor. So that the last meeting, it was reported that the executive sessions, I believe, the May 26th, you were looking for minutes with regards to the 3 assistants and deputy superintendent position, and those minutes do not exist.
Okay, thank you. Motion to accept the minutes of the regular school committee meeting of August 20th. Motion to accept those minutes by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Doherty. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motions have been accepted and placed on file. I believe there is no articles on permission to enter. There is nothing
That's
on
correct.
that agenda? Okay. Memorials.
Usually the superintendent reads them.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Memorials. The committee as a whole. Andrew St. Onge, City of Lowell Events Coordinator. Thomas Bellafuel, Lowell Police Officer. By Regina M. Faticante. John Zunas, brother of William Billy Zunas, Veterans Agent for the town of Dracut, and brother-in-law of Lynn Brown Zunas, Director of the Lowell Senior Center. Mary Cackness, retired Lowell High School teacher. Before we dim the lights and have that moment of silence, I just want to say that all these people on this agenda deserve a moment of silence. We lost 2 wonderful people in our city, and the city came together today to say goodbye, and that was Andy St. Onge and Officer Thomas Bellafuel. And the people come out and pay their respects, and rightfully so. May they all rest in peace. Let us stand in darkened chambers for a moment of silence.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you very much. Unfinished business?
I had to stay on.
Any unfinished business? Public participation? Any public participation? If none, we will move on to the motions. I will, Ms. Doherty, would you please come up here?
Okay. 7:30. 7:34, you took over the chair. No, I put in minutes.
Motion by Mayor Edward Caulfield, request that the Assistant Superintendent for Finance furnish the committee with a report on a quarterly basis on overtime and per diem expenses. Do I have a second on, a second by Committeeman Dave Conway? Mayor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. This is a simple motion. I'm just asking for a quarterly report on overtime and per diem expenses. I ran that past Mr. Lang. He doesn't have a problem with it, and I don't see a problem with it either. So it's just a way to look at our financial expenses over the course of the year. That's the gist of the motion.
Thank you. Any other comments? All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Okay, moving on with the motions. A motion by John Leahy, who requested that the superintendent set up a meeting in early October for all members of the school committee and her administration with Congresswoman Nikki Songus to discuss school concerns at the federal level. Seconded by Ms. Doherty. John?
Thank you, Your Honor. Motion basically speaks for itself. If we could just start meeting on an annual basis with the Congresswoman and discuss our concerns. It's a good opportunity to stay in touch. Thank you.
Madam Superintendent?
I would like to take this opportunity to thank Congresswoman Nikki Songus for coming yesterday. She spent the morning at Lowell Public Schools, and we went to the high school, and we met with our various curriculum leaders there, as well as we went and greeted the nurses who performed heroic duties this week. And then we went over to the Lincoln School and to the Laurel Lee, and it was really nice to be able to have the opportunity to talk with Congresswoman Saugus, and she did ask questions around No Child Left Behind. What does that mean to us here in Lowell? And I explained to her the problems of it being an unfunded mandate, and that in the future, which will be shortly, they will be looking at that legislation and how that can be improved for districts like Lowell Public Schools. So it's a very timely motion, and I look forward to setting that up.
Mr. Conway?
Yes, I also want to say that this motion, I think, is an excellent motion. I think that we have a good relationship with the delegation from Boston, headed up by Senator Panagiotakis. And in light of the fact that I think the next couple years, 2 or 3 years, financially is going to be challenging, and I think we need to reach out to every source possible, and certainly the federal level. And I think this is a great step, and once again, good motion, Mr. Leahy, I'm sorry.
I'd like to just briefly speak on your motion, John. It's a great motion. Yesterday afternoon at 1 o'clock, I attended a press conference in Methuen at the YMCA, and Karen Fredericks was there from CTI, and members of the Barker School at the YMCA, and they filed grants. And there was something like 37 grants in that field, and only 2 from Massachusetts was accepted. by the Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education. And those 2 grants that were accepted was from the 5th Congressional District. And Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas, with her efforts, brought in over $6 million for the early reading programs. And I know everyone at CTI, and I know Connie Martin and everyone affiliated with CTI is excited about this because that money is filtered down right through the school system in Lowell. So Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas is a great advocate of education and anything that happens in the 5th Congressional District that's positive. So it's a great motion. I know Congresswoman Tsongas will be meeting with the superintendent and the school committee in the future and do everything humanly possible to help with the educational programs in the city of Lowell. So, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion by James Leary. October 11, 2007, motion changed and updated. Shut that. No. Shut that. Okay, thank you. Request that the superintendent begin to develop a 5-year goal recommendation for Lowell High School, all Lowell middle schools and elementary schools. The 5-year goals would reflect the dates 2009 through 2013, extending beyond the Lowell School Committee's 2001 through 2006 goals, providing the blueprint to ensure that all Lowell public schools are successful. The superintendent will work in conjunction with the curriculum subcommittee to develop the 5-year goal recommendations, which should be presented to the full Lowell School Committee for discussion. Changes and implementation before the end of February 2009. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Martin on the motion.
Just quickly, it was pointed out to me by one of my esteemed colleagues, Regina Fedicani, that there's more than just a curriculum subcommittee regarding goals. So I'd like to amend my own motion before going forward with my statement to just say the school committee as a whole, as opposed to just a curriculum subcommittee, because there is safety issues and other types of goals that would apply to more than one subcommittee. So, Mayor, if I could amend my own motion to say the school committee as a whole, I think that would be more appropriate in terms of looking at the holistic goal pattern.
I need a second on your amendment.
It's been seconded by Ms. Martin.
No, but as with the amendment, it has to be a
I haven't
second.
had a chance, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just quickly on the goals, I mean, the general idea here, being fully knowledgeable that we've asked goals of the superintendent. This is making it more of a formal process. I put a target date of February 09. That's a general outline. I don't anticipate the rush to try to meet the February 09 date. If it's March, April, May, fine. I just want to make sure that we're looking at this as a top priority, because obviously setting goals are where we're going to go, and that's something that as a committee we've directed in your contract. What really bothers me, though, is whenever I go online and look at the internet and I look at the goals and they have the preceding 4 or 5 years, I think it's 01 through 06, and it's still there on the internet, our goals of 2001, 2006. If we could do something to change that, because small things like saying these are our goals of 3 years ago and we're not updating them, in my opinion, is kind of foolish. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine. Small things actually matter, and I think that's something we could say we're in progress of developing our updated 5-year goals. I think that would be more professional. But just to wrap it up, I think the general idea here is to start working on it. February is not my mind that we have to have them in by February. It's just so we're working on them and everybody knows that we're going to be putting this together hopefully before the end of the next year, which is already in your contract. Thank you.
Mr. Leary, you indicated that you wanted to amend the motion. What portion of that motion?
The curriculum subcommittee portion, removing the curriculum subcommittee, making it the school committee as a whole, because there's other involvement besides just curriculum issues, such as safety, finance, et cetera. So the school committee as a whole. Thank you.
Did someone second that amendment? Seconded by Ms. Martin. On the motion as amended, Mr. Conway.
Yes, thank you. To be quite frank with you, I'm a little confused with the amendment, with the motion. When I first took a look at it, and it did say the subcommittee on the curriculum. Obviously, that was a red flag. But also, even bringing it to the entire school committee, I think what we have to do, I think we're kind of going backwards here a bit. We have a new superintendent, and she's been only on board a few weeks, and I think it's imperative that we give her an opportunity to, which she is doing right now, reaching out to the community, whether it's the business community. She's reached out to the university and to Middlesex Community College. She has also, I know, has gone to a number of different schools, I believe all of them at this particular point, and I know that I have received a number of telephone calls from teachers and administrators congratulating the superintendent for making that effort. And matter of fact, again, I do believe in a short period of time this superintendent has done quite a bit. And I think that the superintendent at this point is gathering information about the school system. Not that I want to speak for the superintendent by no means, but I'm assuming that that's exactly what she's doing, is she's gathering information from a whole variety of different areas. And I think at that particular point, I think it's prudent and it's incumbent on us to let the superintendent come up with the goals that she feels is important to this school district. As far as I'm concerned, I think that what I have seen from this superintendent, I personally have the confidence that the superintendent is going to come up with realistic goals, goals that I think that are going to make sense for this school system and bring it forward. I've seen, as I said, I've seen a lot of very positive changes in a very short period of time. And I think that, once again, I think it's important that the school department pulls back, or I should say the school committee pulls back and let the superintendent develop her goals for this district and decide which goals would be most important to help our students. So at this particular point, I couldn't support this motion. Thank you.
Ms. Fattacani?
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate my colleague, Mr. Leary, making the change regarding the curriculum subcommittee, because as we did speak before the meeting, there are items that might go to special ed or to the mayor's task force, in fact. My concern is this. When we hired the superintendent, we asked her to come forward to us to a set of goals, bring forward to us a set of goals. And I'm concerned that we might be, in fact, rushing that process with the establishment of this motion. The superintendent and now the assistants and the deputy will be forwarding to the school committee a goal package that we as a school committee will agree upon. And it's my expectation that that will come in the next several months. So my concern with this motion, and maybe Mr. Leary can explain it better so that I have a clear understanding, is I'm concerned about rushing that process. I'm concerned that we have a contract with the superintendent that's very clear, and that we're now going to sort of reinvent the wheel all over again. So I'm not quite sure what my colleague is asking for. And maybe instead of him laughing over there and doing the passive-aggressive stuff, if you can explain it to me, I'd appreciate it.
I would, if.
Mr.
Thank you,
Leary,
Mayor.
no one else wants to speak in the motion?
I don't know how to, I guess what I try to do to my colleague, Ms. Fattacani, that I try to work through this motion you voted for in October, and I realize there's a change in administration. And what I think I just said is that these were goals that was already in our contract, that I wanted to make sure this motion was taken seriously, and that in any endeavor that you try to achieve, any logical individual would understand that you need to set goals. And I think I articulated that February 9th was a target date, and that would be really 5 or 6 months away. And Mr. Conway, my colleague, presented the fact that she's only been here a few weeks, and I was fully knowledgeable of that. I think February 9 is a pretty good target. Now, if it's March, April, May, that's cool. But the bottom line is, right now on our internet, we got goals from 3 years ago. That's embarrassing. I don't know how you can argue that fact. I'm agreeable to making any changes that would be more artful. As far as passive-aggressive, I don't know. I sat down with you and said, hey, what part do you don't like about it? You said, I didn't like the curriculum. I said, cool. What part can we work with? Wasn't intent to make anybody upset. It was kind of a thoughtful idea to kind of like, let's get goals, put them together, and maybe we can go forward saying, here's what the whole school department's going to do.
Anyone else like to discuss John, Connie, anybody?
Through
Ms.
you,
Fetterman.
Your Honor, to the superintendent, might I hear from the superintendent regarding the date? Did we establish a date in your contract to bring forward goals?
Not a date
Not-
per se, but
Okay.
that I would bring, of course, goals forward.
Okay,
Can I?
please.
Just to comment on the motion in general, I definitely I think that every member of the committee appreciates right now that we are formulating what our goals are going forward. I've spoken with each one of you individually, and I think you do have a good sense of the various areas that we're looking at and the various areas that we need to improve. So I think, we will be able to have some very concrete goals, perhaps even before February, for us to discuss, because I think it's a work in progress. I think we, will table, we do have our data from the state at this time. We're in receipt of that. That was in your FYI packet, some of the rankings of our various schools and some of the issues that we face there. So it won't take us long to mine that particular data, but also in concert with our working relationships with the schools, with the union, and with the community at large. I think we quite quickly are getting a good sense of the work that needs to be done. So I think we'll be able to bring goals forward to the committee for us to start working on, to look at. I think it's probably most constructive if we decide together how you would like to tweak and the philosophy behind the goals. So although, Ms. Larry, just to comment on your concern with regards to the webpage, we share that concern, and for the first time, I guess, we do have somebody on the school side who is now going to, I met with them yesterday, who will be designated to work on the webpage. I did, as I mentioned earlier, 6 weeks ago, I met with the city side, because those were the only people that we had access to who had that skill set, and then they went on holiday. So now we have the city side and the school side. That meeting happened with Jean and I yesterday, and we did share Mrs. Doherty's motion, or it was on here and then it was off, but okay, so about the website and just those issues to update it. So we do share the concern, and we can, I agree with you that whatever is outdated on the website, we can put up a sign, being constructed. So that's where we are just with regards to that particular piece. But I do, the only, what might be helpful right off the bat is for us just to discuss the notion of 5-year goals. And I know that's the way we've done it here in Lowell, but I would like the committee to consider. Sure. Hope everybody's okay out there. I just would like to ask the committee to think about looking at the notion of having 5-year goals and maybe changing that to a 2-year goal package, something that's shorter in length, that's something that we can re-examine in 2 years. I think it's in keeping with our focus. I think we need to pick very specific areas and look and reassess at 2 years' time. That's just a suggestion. I mean, we can make them 5 years. That's okay too, but it's just a different dynamic for staff to say, in the next 2 years, this is what we're going to accomplish, this is what we're going to focus on. And so I would like some direction on that notion.
Mr. Leary?
No, and I think that's a fantastic statement. I mean, I would absolutely be in favor of that. If you think that's more advantageous, the premise here is really just to have goals and really say where we're going. 2 years are fantastic. I think really in a line, you're almost thinking of every year you're going to have specific objectives leading up to other goals. And I'd be, if you come back and say 2 years more specific, I would support that 100%.
It's just a different dynamic, Mr. Larry, in the organization, so that people aren't waiting for 5 years to the goal to complete. If we do it in smaller increments, I mean, we can go through this whole work process again in the end of 24 months, but to say, okay, how have we been successful? How is it measurable? Do we need to continue with these goals, or do we need to change them, alter them? And I just find people find it, I just think it's more rewarding for people to see it in smaller time blocks.
Ms. Martin?
Thank you. Can I ask just in terms of, because I think as we talk about goals, there are kind of two different situations we're dealing with. You know, one is certainly the overarching goals that should be guiding our district, that every individual should be aware of, every contributor, every stakeholder, that should be extremely well publicized and on our website and all that. But there's also, and I believe Ms. Fatacanti was referring to that, the goals that are required for this committee during our evaluation process of the superintendent. I'm not sure what the timing of that is, but it is something that's going to need to be in our hands soon enough so that we can make an appropriate evaluation when the time comes at the end of June. So it's just, I just want to be clear that we're talking about two different things. The goals that I think Mr. Leary is referring to are those big picture, goals that the district as a whole need to be aware of and need to contribute to, starting with this committee, going straight through every individual who's working and striving in this district, but that we also have a requirement that we're going to need the superintendent to craft what the goals are that will be the determining factor for your success come the conclusion of this evaluation period. And it's one of those, and I think we've all been caught in this, I can say I have in this before, where not getting the goals soon enough made it particularly challenging to be able to make an effective evaluation because, again, if you don't have them beforehand, if it's not a conversation that's been had, then it's unreasonable for either side to have strong expectations if they're not in hand soon enough. So that's just, as we talk about these different types of things, I think going to a 2-year strategy is something I'd be more than happy to consider for those big goals. But that we also need to keep on that, or maybe perhaps bring to that front burner what we're going to be looking at in terms of goals as an individual evaluation measure.
Madam Superintendent.
I appreciate that clarification, Ms. Martin, because that wasn't my understanding. I did think we were talking about big picture goals, and I also, I definitely can bring, and I'm not sure what format, if it goes to the Personnel Committee or if it just comes right here, those goals. I'm sorry? And I can definitely present those at any time. There's lots of goals.
Ms. Doherty.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to say I agree with Ms. Martin's clarification that Mr. Leary's motion was really, I would use the word plan, because our former superintendent had a 5-year plan. We're looking at an overarching
That's what I thought he was talking about.
And that separate one has to do with your personal evaluation, your individual goals. So I think if we stay focused on the motion before us, which is Mr. Leary's idea for you to have a report to this committee sometime in February or whatever, I'm comfortable with that in terms of putting a formal structure in place with flexibility. And I think he was clear that the February deadline is not something that's going to be held over your head. I'm also open to the suggestion of having a shorter term that we're looking at with, concrete measurements of these are 2-year goals that we could reassess in 2 years. So I'm fine with the motion, but I do think that clarification is important. We're talking about an overall plan with the motion for the district. Thank you.
Madam Superintendent?
I would like to be clear with the committee, just with regards to, it is important that my goals obviously match the district goals. So it's just a little bit important. I just want to be clear on our expectations. So it's not going to be really helpful if we come up with 5 district goals that are different than 5 of the goals of the superintendent. I think it's going to be helpful if we align those, which we can do. So when I present what the goals that I think as a superintendent they should be, what I'd like the committee to think about when they're looking at those goals is that they will be in line with what I see the district goals to be. And so at that time, it might be helpful for you to flag, Chris, I think you should also look at this goal, or this goal needs to be altered, because it will be the introduction to the other goals, because they need to be almost one and the same. Okay?
Okay. So I suggest, Mr. Leary, that you withdraw your amendment, the original amendment, and then bring in another amendment that would indicate a 2-year goal. Okay, so
yeah, absolutely, that's fine.
Withdraw your amendment, seconded by Ms. Doherty. So that amendment has been withdrawn. And the new amendment, if you would record that, would be, what's the new amendment?
Yeah, I wanted to go, just to clarify, it goes to the full committee, and it's a 2-year goal setting, I think is what we're
For the
making.
entire
changes.
committee?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you get that, Madam Clerk? Okay. Is there any other, what's that? Seconded by Ms. Doherty. Before we take a roll call, any more discussion on that? I just briefly want to interject here. How do we know that the superintendent is not bringing forward a goal? We don't know that. And I've been watching the superintendent since July 1st. She's hit the ground running. She's working tirelessly. And sometimes you got to stop and go, take a breather. And I think Superintendent Scott will definitely bring forward a goal that's going to be positive for this school system and something I think we'll be all proud of. But, it's a good motion to bring it forward, but give the superintendent just a little breathing room because, as we all know, it's a very difficult job. And school just started, and she hasn't stopped. So, all in favor of the motion, the amended motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion has been accepted. And what's that? You want a roll call?
I just want to know if Mr. Conway is...
Mr. Conway, you in favor of that amended motion?
I just have a quick question on this. Is February is that the date that you're going by? I just want to clarify.
I asked the question, did anyone else have a question pertaining to this motion? And no one said a thing. So, Mr. Conway, you have the floor.
A roll call vote, Your Honor.
Roll call.
Do you want me to read it? Or? Please. Okay. Do you want me to read it then? Okay. So, motion, request the superintendent begin to develop a 2-year goal recommendation for Lowell High School, all Lowell middle schools and elementary schools. The 2-year goals would be kept for dates 2009 through 2011, okay? Extended beyond the Lowell School Committee's 2001 through 2006 goal, providing the blueprint to ensure that all Lowell public schools are successful. The superintendent will work in conjunction with the school committee as a whole to develop a 2-year plan, recommendations which should be presented to the full Lowell School Committee for discussion, changes, and implementation before the end of February 2009.
Mr. Conway, do you have an issue with that date or anything you want to discuss on this before we take a roll call?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to clarify, is February, is that etched in stone, or are we?
We can discuss that. Doesn't have to.
Right. That's why I just wanted to.
I think I clearly said that that was a target date, and that when the superintendent came forward to us, we could easily move that date. I think I said that 3 different times. I have no problem moving it forward, bringing it easier. If the superintendent thinks we need additional information, we'd obviously look at it. We want to set goals that are both meaningful, have high value, and can be obtainable.
So that's a time frame that's flexible. Flexible, okay? So can we put in there the time frame will be flexible, all right? All agreeable to that?
Yes.
Roll call.
I'm agreeable to that.
Roll call.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante. Yes. Mr. Leahy.
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
7 yeas, motion as amended, approved.
Motion by Jackie Doherty, request the superintendent or her designee reconvene meetings with city youth providers such as YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, Girls Incorporated, etc., to determine priority ways for partnership in delivering services to children. The school committee should receive periodic updates on the group's progress. Seconded by Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not trying to make more work for the superintendent, but this was a group that met with the prior superintendent, and I heard that they really kind of stopped meeting. They fell out of the habit of meeting. And I think that it makes sense in a city where we are known for our partnerships, where we have a shortage of funding and revenue, to try to get the youth providers together on somewhat of a regular basis. I listed some, there may be others you'd want to include. I just realized I didn't mention CTI. They're a big youth provider in the city. But my thinking behind it is, especially around, we've had discussions around summer school issues and other kinds of recreational programs that we can't do it on our own, and we have other really good organizations throughout the city working with our kids, and that if we sit down periodically and have discussions about how we might be able to share resources, how we might be able to deliver services more efficiently, I think it really is in the best interest of the children. So I'm just putting it out there, if you could get that group going again at some time, that works for you, and then just give us an update. And when I say periodic, I'm thinking quarterly, once or twice a year, as you are able to work together as a team. It's a group of people that are really working hard for our kids. Thank you.
Ms. Faticani?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm wondering if the partnership subcommittee could also be a part of this. We have a subcommittee that talks about partnerships, and this might be a very good way for us as a subcommittee and then as a committee of the whole to fully understand how many groups are actually working with our kids in the Lowell school system. So I'm wondering if maybe our first meeting could be a subcommittee meeting with the partnership subcommittee, because, Your Honor, when that happens, we will then report back to this full committee about the numbers and the types of groups that are working with our young people. I mean, I'm not even sure who they all are. And if the superintendent is the only person that is working with them, then I still don't get to know who they all are, because she does and we don't. So I'm wondering if the partnership subcommittee can also be involved in this, because this gives, it allows this full school committee greater access to understand who are the groups that are providing services to our youngsters.
Madam Superintendent?
Just to comment on the motion as a whole, I liked the motion, and when I saw the motion, as I do for all your motions, I did my homework before tonight's meeting. And just so that you know, Mrs. Doherty, I have met with the director of the Boys and Girls Club here in Lowell, and it was a very impressive meeting. The work that they do with the children is incredible. We did, Mr. Conway generously set the meeting up for me there, and when we went and we saw the children taking part in a tennis program, we had kids from the high school come over and volunteer their time, giving back to the community. That's a very powerful program. I have since met with the new director of the recreation department at the high school and spoke with him about creating opportunities for other athletes to go and to work in our after-school programs. That is a work in progress, but I have to say the work that's done there, not only with regards to recreation, but they also offer remedial programming, and I did go in to the various classrooms at the Boys and Girls Club where children were reading, writing, doing math, and the people who work, Mr. Conway, I would ask if you'd provide me the name of the director of the program who we met with.
Michelle Hayden.
Right, she was very impressive, thank you, and committed to the youth of Lowell. Also, in preparation of the meeting tonight, I did find that the committee was presented with a full report last spring on all of the partnerships that we partner, community agencies that we partner with after hours for before and after school programming. So, Ms. Facantini, I can offer you that document again. It's only 3 months old. It's pretty up to date, and I will share that information with you. And I like your suggestion that we go through the subcommittee to talk about perhaps ways that we can partner, because right now the Boys and Girls Club, that is one agency that we don't have direct, our children go there, many of our children, they're bused to that location, but all children who would like to attend can't necessarily attend the program because of busing issues. So that's something that the committee may want to look at, that I think could occur in your committee. As well, how we could support the after-school program, academic component at that site. I think that the leadership there would be very willing to do that. So I thank you for the motion.
Mr. Conway, on the motion?
Yeah, maybe what we could do is at the next subcommittee meeting on partnerships, we can invite the directors of these nonprofits to attend, and we could discuss it. We could discuss the situation there,
Right.
if that might be more appropriate.
Any other discussion on the motion before I ask for approval? Other discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? The motion carries. It's been accepted and adopted, and it's a great motion, Ms. Doherty. Moving on with the agenda, a athletic subcommittee approval of the minutes of the meeting of August 20th, 2008. Regina Fatacanti, Chairman.
Thank you, Your Honor. We actually read the minutes, I read the minutes last meeting. All we need to do tonight, Your Honor, is to accept the minutes.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes and place them on file by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Conway. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The minutes have been accepted and placed on file. Curriculum Subcommittee report and approval of the minutes of the meeting of August 26th, 2008 by Connie Martin, Chairman. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. We did have our Curriculum and Instruction Subcommittee meeting with a number of different topics to be reviewed. The first two, I think we can report together, and then we can take one vote on that, and then the rest will just be a report of progress. Our first was a proposal offered to us by one of our longtime teachers, Ms. Kelly King, who is a teacher at the the Bartlett Elementary School, and is a current doctoral student at the University of Massachusetts Lowell Graduate School of Education. She presented the subcommittee with her proposed research project, which will be part of her doctoral studies. It was really, as the committee was looking at the materials, a very interesting, I think, approach of looking at all of the different kind of writing and almost kind of, pre-writing that our preschoolers are doing, and using that to be able to inform the instruction that they receive, and to better understand how that writing really relates to the way students take ownership of stories and are able to tell stories and understand context. So it is the kind of study that I think will be particularly interesting for our district, and the subcommittee did approve her opportunity and her interest in doing this in her current classroom. The second research proposal that was presented to the subcommittee was from two of the professors from the University of Massachusetts Lowell Graduate School of Education, Professors Pat Fontaine and Michaela Colombo, two, again, very long-serving professors at the university, and they will be doing a program focusing on the McAuliffe and the Bartlett schools here in Lowell, and they will be teaming some of their education students at the college level to serve as tutors and to work one-on-one and in small groups with some of our students who are working to raise their English proficiency. Again, these are the two researchers, are individuals who've been very involved over the course of time with our district and have done a huge amount of work to improve the quality of education in the city of Lowell, and this seems like a very the next logical step for their research and, again, their ongoing service to our students. I would put forth to the committee as a whole these two pieces, and then I can continue with the rest of the report, but I would offer that for their consideration.
Yes, Ms. Fatacanti.
Thank you, Your Honor. Through you, Your Honor, to my colleague, School Committee Woman Martin. I see on the first research proposal that the tape will be destroyed, or the tape will be used by the student and the professor. My concern is then what happens. I have two issues. One, are we getting parents' permission to do that? And two, I have a lot of concern with some tape wandering out there afterwards. And you know my feeling about privacy rights of our students. So I have a huge concern regarding some videotape that that's going to go on a shelf, and then 10 years from now, people are going to
And that was
pull it off
the exact questions that were asked.
Okay.
First off, every student's family will need to sign a release. They will be fully informed of the exact nature of the study so that families will be well aware of what their students are participating in. The specific question regarding the actual tapes was asked by our colleague, Mr. Leary, and they will be destroyed. I believe the time frame was 2 years after the conclusion of, as you go through the process, again, doctoral, better than any of us sitting here, that how long they can take. So they will be destroyed. They will be only in the actual hands of this one teacher, again, who is a longtime staff member here, and her specific doctoral professors that she will be working with. It was very strongly stressed to this individual how important those concerns are regarding those work product materials, and how important the school committee felt it was that they be handled with the utmost security. So she, I think, did a great job in talking with the subcommittee to reassure us that she was well aware of those concerns and would take them very seriously. And I felt comfortable at the conclusion of that meeting that she understood the gravity of what we were looking for, and that she was going to comply with all of those concerns.
Your Honor, I just have one more question, and that's the second study. That seems to be a little not as tight as the first one. Again, videotapes, journals, writing samples. It doesn't say who it's going to be shared with. And again, it doesn't address my concerns, again, of student privacy.
I think that working with these two professors who have already done extensive research in the district, and again, these videotapes would be only these two professors are going to be using these materials. There's no other students involved. The actual students at these two schools would not be involved in that part of it. They would just be, they would be videotaped, and then those would be used as really teaching studies for the students at the Graduate School of Education who are part of this study, the actual tutors. So the tutors who are working with these children, and then these two professors would be the only individuals who would have access to those, any of those, again, work product materials, and that, again, these two individuals are extremely well-versed in the priorities set by this committee, and I would have, again, myself, and I believe the subcommittee was very comfortable with their understanding of our requirements.
May I ask this question? Is there any cost associated?
None at all for either one. They're both being conducted at the
But we would have
expense
to
of the
take a roll
university.
call vote, I think, on these two motions to get approval of the committee, and that's wonderful. We can get people from UMass Lowell to interject and work with our students. That's a home run. Any other discussion on these two motions before I call the roll call? Seconded by Mr. Leary. Roll call on these two motions presented by the Curriculum Subcommittee Chairperson, Connie Martin. Roll call?
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante.
Yes?
Mr. Leahy.
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
If I could, the rest is really just a report of progress, a number of different items that we covered in the subcommittee. We were introduced for the first time to Ms. Phyllis Schlichter, who is the new coordinator of K-12 reading and English language arts here in the district. Certainly brings with her to the position great experience, and perhaps even more importantly, I think, a real enthusiasm and appreciation for what's going on in the city of Lowell, and excitement about being part of that process and progress. We discussed the next steps that are going to be going on throughout the district regarding our coaching models that are in place, offering our teachers opportunities to learn and grow by working with teaching coaches. And I think one of the key things we talked about really was that ensuring that, understanding that from the perspective of our teachers, recognizing that there is certainly a difference between being an effective coach and having a solid knowledge base. These are the two key components that will make up a successful coach and ensure a successful relationship for that individual as they're working with our professional teachers. So it's something that the superintendent certainly is moving forward, working in very close concert with Jean Franco, our deputy superintendent, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing how this is going to have an impact, a continuing impact in our district. It was one of the key things that was discussed at all of our back-to-school sessions with our teaching staff. So it's something that is very high on the level of priorities in the district, and something that I think we're all very optimistic about the kind of impact that it will have on our teachers' success and ultimately our students' success. Final topic that was discussed was the Mass Tells update, and this is a survey that was put in place statewide, and Lowell did participate, really trying to glean from our professional teaching staff what their kind of their overall impressions of their work in districts across the Commonwealth, and then we were able to tease out of that information. Each individual district was able to get their own reports, giving them really incredibly salient and focused information about the district. It's something that from the very beginning I know Superintendent Scott has been involved with, and wanting to ensure that we get the most able to make the most effective decisions based on this information. And I think it's been extremely positive in the idea that we're able to work very closely with the union leadership, and ensure that we see important changes that we can implement across the district. Again, two key kind of points that I think came out of the TELS data, specific to Lowell, though certainly not unique to it, were the ideas of teacher empowerment, ensuring that our teachers feel that they're part of decision-making in their schools and in our district as a whole, and then also the whole concept of school context and readiness, ensuring that teachers have the capacity to be successful. And so that is something, again, this is, I would say, a beginning point. There are going to be ongoing conversations with the union, with teachers, to ensure that we keep these two goals in mind as we move forward, and make sure that we really can improve overall performance and ensure that our teachers are performing well and have the resources and respect that they need to be successful. I'd submit that as a report of progress. If any of my colleagues would like to add anything, it would be welcomed.
Any discussion before we accept those subcommittee reports as a report of progress? Any discussion? Motion to accept the report by Mr. Conway as a report of progress, seconded by Ms. Faticani. All in favor of accepting the report as a report of progress and placing it on file, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The report has been accepted and put on file. The Mayor's Task Force on Desegregation, I'll briefly read you the minutes. We were all present. Let me see, the subcommittee meeting was called to order at 7:05 p.m. by Subcommittee Chair Mayor Caulfield. The focus of the meeting was to discuss the projected increase in current student enrollment. Assistant Superintendent Ann Murphy and Parent Information Director Dr. Fala Shea informed committee members of the current enrollment status. With declining enrollments over the past 8 years, the district has been able to lower class sizes at the elementary level to a capacity of 22 and at the middle school to a capacity of 25. However, this year's increase in enrollment may force class sizes to exceed the established capacity. Highlights of the discussion included: the highest enrollment numbers are at grade K, 1, 3, and 7. Preliminary attendance data indicates fewer students have attended school than are enrolled. Increase in enrollment of students from parochial and charter schools. Attendance numbers will be monitored closely to determine if changes in class assignment or additional resources are required. There was a motion made by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Faticani, to request an updated report for the September 3rd, 2008 school committee meeting that compares attendance data to enrollment status. In addition, a report that presents information on newly enrolled students relative to their previous school status will be provided. It was accepted on a 3-0 vote, and it was respectfully submitted by Ann Murphy for Superintendent Chris Augusta Scott. Any discussion on the minutes? And Madam Superintendent, maybe you can give the committee an update on the enrollment issue?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
The enrollment status report has been passed out. Does everybody have a copy? Just to bring it to your attention, from June 17th to September the 3rd, we have enrolled 347 new students to Lowell Public Schools. The breakdown in front of you, the West Zone, East Zone, and Citywide Zone, I'd like just to point out that those are students sitting in our seats, so those are actual numbers, but our enrollment numbers are still higher than we would like them to be with regards to our number of capacity, 22 in the lower grades. So in the West Zone, the largest class size is 24 with an average class size of 22. And in the East Zone, the largest class size is 25 with an average of 23. In the Citywide Zone, the largest class size is 25 with the average class size being 22. So throughout the district, as the data showed us last week when we met, there are pockets where enrollment is high. In the middle school, in the west zone, the largest class size is 25, with an average of 23. In the east zone, the largest class size is 26, with an average class size of 24. In the citywide zone, the largest class size is 27, with an average class size of 23. Again, just to reiterate that those numbers are actual numbers with children sitting in front of them. Mrs. Murphy has requested staff to call families looking for the children who have registered but are presently not in attendance, so that we can get a sense, are these real numbers, or are the rest of the children returning to school at the end of the week, at the beginning of next, so that we can and get a better sense. Mrs. Martin had also asked, with regards to our numbers increasing, where the children came from. The breakdown is on the second page of this document. And we've broken it down with regards to students who arrive from charter schools, private schools, out of town, out of state, and from out of the country. And if you look at the numbers, I won't read all this to the committee, but you can see our third grade, with regards to the enrollment number, 60 children increase, and that number was already high for us. And so that was just the luck of the draw, that people did come from out of town, out of the state, and out of the country. So I guess if they're from out of the state and out of the country, they're from out of town too, but sorry about that. But so there is an increase there at that level, which it is what it is at this point, but we will keep a close eye on those classes where the number is 25 and above, to make sure that the makeup is suitable for learning to occur, as the committee shares our concern that we want kids to be on task.
Any discussion on this issue? Mr. Leary.
I just had one quick question, Madam Superintendent. I don't know if you have an answer for it now. It's been about, what, 5 or 6 days of school. First day for kindergarten was yesterday, so.
Yes.
It's after Labor Day. Why are we calling people 6 days into the school year to see if they're going to show up to a spot that someone else is waiting to fill? Why don't we just remove them from the list, and when they do show up, we put them at whatever empty spot we have within the system? And I don't really know if I have an answer for it myself or what I believe in, but why are we waiting for these people? I mean, you guys are running short-staffed already, picking up the phone and calling them, going, hey, you're going to show up? And they're going to tell you, no, I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And while we have another child sitting in a classroom that wants to go to that particular school because they're probably looking at that building and they can't get in because they signed up late. And again, I don't even need an answer tonight. I mean, I just something we want to think through a little bit, because it is a little bit frustrating when you live in the neighborhood,
Sure.
You happen to sign up late, you're on number 3 on the waiting list, and there's 2 kids who aren't showing up. Why are we going through all this? And again, I don't know if I'm right or wrong with the statement, just a thought that just came into my head. It's something to think about more than anything. Thank you.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Leary. I don't know if the school committee has a policy with regards to, after so many days of school, that the wait list is activated or not, but so I can definitely get back to you if there's a rule on that or not. However, the situation that we're looking at, unfortunately, because the classes are already high, even with the kids sitting in front of us, it really wouldn't activate the wait list. So I just don't want parents at home who are viewing the show tonight to think that, you know, this is going to be, we're going to call people and say we're going to activate the wait list, because we are at capacity. It's just how much over capacity. Okay.
Ms. Fattacani?
I think Assistant Superintendent Murphy is able to answer some of the questions, because she's pretty familiar with our policies about holding seats and whatnot. Through you, Your Honor, to Assistant Superintendent Murphy.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Leary. What we're doing is, as the students have come into school and settled in, and we're pulling numbers every single day to see exactly how many kids are sitting in the seats and how many have been enrolled. Our social workers and our administrators are starting to do some outreach to find out exactly where these kids are. Every school, just about every school in our district now, has a waiting list at least 1 or 2 grades. Our wait list policy and our transfer policy allows for parents to request 1 transfer, voluntary transfer within a zone, up until October 20th. And all of our transfers out of the wait list go through October 20th. So the sooner that we can get a real good handle on how many kids are actually in our schools, we can then start looking at where we can offer seats for those students who are waiting to go to a school that has been oversubscribed. And my projection would be we'll continue to take data every day on the number of students who are actually in attendance. We'll continue that through next week, and as we're doing that, we'll start to compile and see where we're going to be able to move some kids from the wait list, and I would say within a couple of weeks we'll be able to start doing that.
And I appreciate that. Thank you very much. A lot of that I kind of was aware of. I think more out of frustration I'm saying it. And I don't really have an answer for it, but it was something that you're looking at it like, you're not even going to go to our school. You're not even bothering to tell us. You're at St. Mike's or St. Margaret's, or you're out of school. And I get it, and I just, maybe just more venting than anything. But I think something that we got to continually go at. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the mayor's task force on desegregation? Motion to accept the minutes and
Motion to
as a
accept?
report of progress by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Fattacani. All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes have been accepted, placed on file. Moving on with the agenda, reports of the superintendent.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to enter it on, to address the Welcome Book for Every First Grader program. It's the 5th year in existence, where Bernice Hoare, a retired Lowell High School guidance counselor's dream of giving every first grader a book of his or her own continues. The book, entitled this year, Eating the Alphabet by Lois Ehlert, will be distributed in the first days of school to all of our first graders. An invitation to register for a Poland Memorial Library card is enclosed in each book. Special thanks to Dr. Pamela Buchek, retired coordinator, K-12 Reading English Language Arts coordinator, for her efforts in facilitating this initiative, and Dr. Phyllis Schissler, is that? Our new coordinator for K-12 Reading English Language Arts, for completing this initiative. As well, I present to the committee the personnel report dated September the 3rd, 2008.
Yes, go right ahead. Yeah.
Do I keep going?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
The list of eligible teachers dated September the 3rd, 2008. And the last report with regards to requests for homeschooling. The following parents seek permission to home educate their children: Beth Atkinson, 70 Augusta Street; Sherry and Joseph Lord, 34 Willie Street; and Dina Sau at 90 Andrews Street. Under General Laws, Chapter 76, Section 1, home education is constitutionally permissible. Therefore, I recommend approval of this request. If granted, the number of families approved by the Lowell School Committee to homeschool will total 29, and the total number of children will be 48.
Can we take the first 3 items on the superintendent's report, a book for first graders, personnel report, and a list of eligible teachers as report of progress?
Report of progress, Your
Report
Honor.
of progress by Ms. Fattacani, second by Ms. Doherty. And record that as a report of progress, Madam Clerk. On the home education, I think we must take a roll call. Roll call?
I need a first and second.
By Ms. Fattacani, by Ms. Doherty, we all said aye.
Okay. Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante.
Yes.
Mr. Leahy.
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
New business? Convention and conference requests?
Make a motion, Your Honor, to take them in their entirety.
Okay. Then
And
make a motion to take
I have
all
to
the...
congratulate the ROTC, because a lot of what you're seeing here, Your Honor, is attempts by the leaders of the ROTC to visit colleges, so that the members of the ROTC can be seen by other colleges, and maybe maybe an opportunity for some scholarships, maybe an opportunity for other colleges to handpick those students. So kudos to them. They do this all the time, and it's wonderful.
Yes. Motion to accept the conference request in its entirety by Ms. Fattacani, seconded by Ms. Doherty. Roll call.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante.
Yes?
Mr. Leahy.
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Yes. Madam Superintendent?
I just would like, Your Honor, I don't know if this is appropriate time or not, but just to address a few busing issues that we faced in the first week of school.
Sure.
Make
Sure.
a motion, Your Honor, to allow the superintendent to address the issues.
Motion by Ms. Fetterkenny, seconded by Mr. Conway. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
With the closure of the University Avenue Bridge, and I don't know, Mr. Lang, if you'd like to add anything to this, but I do thank parents for their patience and their staff, in particular at the Pawtuckaville School. The teachers are staying later because of the delayed bus time. We are continuing to monitor that situation. Unfortunately, I guess this afternoon was particularly difficult in the city, different locations where traffic was extremely heavy, causing delays in our students getting home, getting to their after-school programs, and a delay in staff being able to follow through on their regular schedules. So we do apologize for those delays, but we are very understanding of the fact that the city's attempting to improve infrastructure, and we will continue to monitor the situation as we go forward. Mr. Lang, do you have anything else to say? Thank you.
Just to give you an update on the University Avenue Bridge, we had two options. City Manager Lynch and the council had two options. Ignore the bridge and have the state shut it down in a year and a half, maybe, or 2 years, and we without a bridge for 3 years. Or invest money and repair the bridge and make it last until we build the new bridge. It's an inconvenience. It's going to be an inconvenience for 3 months, but it's something we can't avoid, and we're trying to keep that bridge together as much as we can, so people will not be without a bridge for a 3-year period. So, any other things on the agenda you want to discuss? I just want to say a few words that, you know, sometimes we're so close to the forest, you can't see the tree. And I had a talk with the freshman class, the freshman academy, and Jeannie Durkin is doing just a marvelous job. Those kids were just excellent, and you could see where they were a little nervous and uptight, but Mr. Samaras and the superintendent and everyone was there to talk to those youngsters. I was also at UMass Lowell Monday, at Tuesday, at the convocation. 1,500 freshmen coming in to the university. The enrollment is up by 20%. There's excitement at that school, enthusiasm, like there is at Middlesex Community College. And sometimes we're so close to the educational projects and educational feelings that we have, we miss that. We're in wonderful shape. Wonderful shape. And the freshman class, Ms. Durkin also spoke to them, Mr. Samara spoke to them. Wonderful kids, wonderful kids. And you could see that, am I at Harvard, Dartmouth, or Yale? They were kind of lost for a while, but eventually they'll find their way in Lowell High School, and we'll be giving them a diploma in 4 years. But UMass Lowell, that's, you know, it's, we had just a mile up the street, and sometimes we forget what we have. So I just want to bring that forward. Mr. Leahy.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. Thank you for your comments. I just wondered if you could let the paper know about the great work that we're doing here.
The paper?
The paper. Sometimes they forget.
I'll give them that message. Any other agenda items? Anything that's good to discuss? Okay. I imagine that will be in the column Sunday that you want that to happen. So, a motion to adjourn by Ms. Fetterkenny, seconded by Ms. Martin. Thank you very much for a great meeting.